Hello and welcome back again to Flint Hills Briar. I'm Gareth, as always. I'm smoking some more Mac Baron, or is it? Mac Baron, yeah. HH Rustica. Figured I'd come back to it and give it another go. This time, not on an empty stomach. Yes, I knew last time that it probably wasn't going to go very well. And it didn't. Not too long after I stopped recording that video, I had to put that pipe down and not finish it. I'm over here in the other end of the back garden. Sorry for the jumbled, messy looking background, the grill and the empty bird feeders and all that stuff. In the morning when I record, I go do it on the other side because it's in the shade. It's the evening, have a little bit of sun left, so I'm just over this side. Get this stuff lit. Hopefully the wind chimes. It's kind of windy out here. It is Kansas after all. Hopefully the wind chimes don't make too much noise. And everything else. Air conditioner. It's quite a nice evening here at the tail end of astronomical summer. I guess it's meteorological fall as soon as like it turns September, I guess, even though it's so hot. But I think on Friday's the equinox, I think. First astronomical day of fall, which I'm ready for. I do think this blend has a nice flavor to it. Kind of, in some weird way, reminds me of Three Nuns, which is a Virginia and dark fired Kentucky blend nowadays. I did let this dry out a little bit, probably not enough. I took one of the flakes out and just rubbed it out. Flakes are fairly damp. Probably should have let it dry a little bit more, but oh well. Just wanted to figure I'd come out and light up a pipe. I have some work to do tonight. Packing, a lot of it's doing laundry and stuff. For this Las Vegas trip here in a couple days. 2 days from now. But I figured I would take, if I ever get this pipe lit, and if you can hear me, I figured I would relate the story of our neighbor I made mention of this earlier in some other video, and Pat, the Paladin Piper, said something about hearing the story. So here we go. And I'm hoping our neighbors would hope that they haven't figured out I put videos on YouTube of me smoking pipes, because that way they won't hear the story. Although they know it. These don't know the whole story from our end. So we moved into our house 2 summers ago, and our house is on kind of a triangular corner. I guess all corners are triangular, but ours is a little bit more angular than a lot of them. and has a pretty big front yard. And basically, the day we moved in, the grass needed to be mowed. At the time, because we had moved from like an apartment, like condo unit type place, we didn't have a mower. So my wife's best friend, who when she was a sheriff's deputy here for the county, that's how she met this guy. He's a police officer still. And I'll just leave out, where we live, what county, what city. But my wife's best friend, essentially, he and his brother, at least at the time, I assume they still do, they mowed lawns on the side. So he happily volunteered to come mow the lawn with his brother. I don't know if I've ever get this to stay lit. Surely I will. So they came the next day. So we moved in on a Saturday. They came on Sunday and they mowed the lawn. Well, they just kind of it was a bit longer, and the grass clippings just kind of went wherever they went. Yeah, some of them did wind up in the street. Not the most tidy looking thing in the world, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal. People do it all the time. Didn't really think anything of it. So the guy that lives across the street, apparently the whole time that this guy's mowing the yard with his brother, the neighbor is just kind of like standing there kind of eyeing him, what they're doing. Paying a little bit too much attention to them. And they get done, and I guess after they leave, I notice that the neighbor across the street is still like kind of looking up and down at the yard and the grass clippings and all that stuff, being pretty obvious. Even if he probably didn't think he was being obvious. So this is Sunday. On Monday, we get this notice left on our door from some like city code inspector or whatever. And it says like, "Oh, we're sorry we couldn't reach you, but we needed to talk to you about something." So we look on the Ring camera. The guy didn't even ring the doorbell. All he did was he hung out in his little white car for a while, filmed the thing out, walks up to the doorstep, and just leaves the note in the door and leaves. So my wife calls him, and sure enough, it was about the grass clippings in the street. And my wife was sure to point out that the note said that they had missed us, implying that they had, tried to ring the doorbell or knock or something, that they didn't even do that. And she's saying how, like, what's the big deal? Like, people do it all. There's other places in town that do this all the time. And the guy's like, well, it's still a violation. It plugs up the storm drains. Well, which I guess theoretically could be true. But there's locust trees around here by storm drains, just on the other end of the block. And especially this time of year, they drop all those nasty bean pod seed things. And they go in the storm drain. And I'm pretty sure those things are plugged up the storm drains before grass clippings are. But, whatever. So, we let the police officer who mowed our yard know of the problem, so we could come and, like, blow the grass clippings back up. We didn't have a leaf blower or anything at the time either. So he comes and does that, takes care of the problem. So that's all we did. The guy that mowed the lawn that kind of caused the problem, such as it was, we let him know. He came and dealt with it. Well, he happens to, and he saw the guy. He told us how the guy across the street was eyeing him. So he tells us that story and all that, and I had observed the same thing after the fact, after he left. So we know how the city knew about it immediately. And this is the day after we move in. Day after we move into our house, the neighbor across the street's calling the city for some grass clippings in the street. So it's kind of like, all right, bud, is that how it's going to be? Yeah, awesome. Well, it just so happens that this guy had this trailer that was parked in the street, which I guess it was parked overnight or something, which you can't do. There's a city law against that. Within a few days, this trailer is still parked in the street, and there was a call, a totally genuine 911 call from one of the neighbors around here who thought he heard like a woman scream for help. I don't know what it was about, but and I think both my wife and I were at home at the time. So at least a couple police units came out to check out the situation. One of them happened to be the police officer from our yard. And he came over, knocked on our door, just made sure that we were doing okay, which we were. And also, because he was in the area where that trailer was illegally parked, he gave it a ticket. So, anyway, and I know that the trailer owner, the neighbor across the street, wasn't that happy about it. And anyway, a few months ago, the neighbor across the street, they have this cat which they let just kind of roam loose. Been in our backyard quite a bit. Well, anyway, earlier in the summer, this cat, well, one evening, I'm sitting in our living room, and I smell something. I'm like, what is that smell? Why does it smell like cat piss, like male cat spray? And I'm trying to figure out like what the hell is going on. And our two male cats are over there sniffing along the bottom of the front door. So I open up the door and investigate. Sure enough, the neighbor's cat had come over and like sprayed our front door. And I'm like, no, this isn't going to be happening. So I'm about ready to, pull out my phone and look up those have a heart traps or whatever. They're like the live animal traps. So you get like cat-sized ones, and it doesn't hurt the animal at all. I didn't want to hurt the cat, but it's kind of like, yeah, I'm about ready to trap this cat in our backyard and take him to the animal shelter. But so the next morning, I told my wife about the situation, and I took a bit of effort to clean that cat pee. There wasn't a lot of it, but it was down on the kick plate of the front door. I got it cleaned up as best I could, because I didn't like the way it smelled. It was disgusting. I also didn't want our cats to like start peeing on the inside of the door to like mark over the other cat's smell. So anyway, my wife writes a letter, because we knew that the neighbors across the street weren't home at the time. She writes this letter, then she had me take it over, leave it on the door. And it was a nice neighborly sort of letter. So I do that. His wife comes home, and then she comes over and talks to my wife. So this conversation ensues. Oh, I forgot one part. Like, within a couple days of the the mysterious reporting to the city about the grass clippings, the neighbor across the street's wife came over with like a plate of cookies. They're like some oatmeal cookies, and they were actually very good, with kind of this like welcome to the neighborhood sort of thing. And we were chatting in the living room for a little bit, being nice and neighborly. And it's kind of have maybe kind of a guilty conscience about something for some reason. And so anyway, there was that discussion then. So, cat problem, leave a note. His wife comes over again, and her and my wife are talking. And she was saying, oh, well, they just got the cat fixed, and hopefully he stops doing that, because if he doesn't, then they're going to take him back to the farm he came from, something like that. Um, and he hasn't sprayed on the door again, I guess. That's a plus. But she somehow it came up, this whole thing about, my wife kind of let it drop, like, yeah, we just kind of keep to ourselves, because it's what we kind of learned to do the last place we lived, because some of the people that we lived around weren't the best. And we've just kind of been keeping ourselves here. And like the day after we moved in, we had somebody come over and mow the lawn, and like the next day the city was putting a notice in our door that there were grass clippings in the street that had to be removed. And the neighbor's wife was like, oh, somebody called the cops on you for grass clippings? Acting like she didn't know anything about it. And then she says, it's the darndest thing. Like right about that time, we had a trailer. My husband had a trailer parked in the street, and somebody called the cops, and we got a ticket on it. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, well, nobody called the cops. All we did was let the person know that mowed our yard that, the grass clipping situation got reported to the city. So, doing the whole play dumb sort of, she was doing the whole play dumb sort of thing. So anyway, that's how our neighbor across the street, the day after we moved in, basically kind of set a certain tone, which, whatever. It'd be nice if that tone was different, but it is what it is. So that's that story. I have to say, to the extent I've kept it burning, this HH Rustica, honestly, I quite like it. It really has a pretty good flavor. I don't really know how to characterize it. I would say it does kind of have I know this doesn't really help, but it does have kind of a rustic, kind of a rugged sort of flavor to it, in kind of an earthy sort of way. Kind of a not flavored tobacco sort of way. It really is pretty good. I am feeling a bit of nicotine from it, but nothing bad yet. But last time it kind of snuck up on me, and I wouldn't say it hit me like a freight train, but it's pretty obvious when that train pulled into the station, we'll put it that way. So yeah, round 2 is going a lot better. Still having a hard time keeping it lit though. But that probably could have been improved with some more drying tone. This might be a good blend to take out camping with me once I get back at doing that. I usually don't camp like much at all in the summer because it's hot, and it's when all the bugs are out, and it's when all the other people are out camping too. I much prefer to go when the weather's nice in the fall, in the spring before it heats up, and in the winter. This might be a pretty good blend to take out with me and enjoy in front of a campfire. And also after I've eaten something. I tend to eat pretty well, probably better than I should when I go camping. But anyway, just figured I'd sit and enjoy a pipe with the time I have. Got the sirens. Hopefully it's not about grass clippings in somebody's street. But I think I've rambled on long enough. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, I really don't think I'll probably be recording anything on this Vegas trip. I am going to bring a couple pipes and maybe a couple blends. I'll probably bring some of that Bob's Chocolate Flake and maybe something else. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to have the time or the place, the opportunity to enjoy a pipe or not. There's going to be a lot of driving time involved in our trip outside of the staying in Vegas thing. Like when we go through Taos, we're spending the night outside, well, basically in Taos, New Mexico, and I think by the time we get there, even though it's going to be this kind of like outdoor, travel trailer sort of place, I'm not sure I'm going to have time to sit outside and enjoy a pipe, although I would like very much to, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be dark by the time we get there. So anyway, I'll bring this video to a close. Once again, thanks for joining me. I'm Gareth with Flannelsbriar. See you next time.